Welcome to Death Diary 100. We've been doing 100 of these so far, and today is gonna be a doozy. Welcome to the Apocalypse expansion. Now, as a quick note before we dive into the details of Apocalypse, everything in the Death Diaries beforehand that apply to the Cherry expansion, so this Death Diary 91 till 99, not including 95 because that was humanoids, will be free for the expansion. That is all the stuff regarding spaceports, fleet stuff, and that sort of thing. So all that rework stuff going to be in the free patch. Everything else from this moment onwards going to be part of the new expansion Apocalypse, available for €19.99 and or local equivalent. Regardless, let's get underway because we've got quite a lot of stuff to look at, and well, they are great. Let's put it that way. Not really practical, I think, but great regardless. So yesterday we had a picture being posted on Twitter talking about a new type of ship that was in there, and there was some speculation abound. Like, is this for a jump gate moving? Is this some sort of colony ship? No, it's the new ship class. Welcome to the Colossi Planet Destroyer. And basically what it does, as it already says in the name, is it is a World Devastator class weapon. Colossus class, and it will work in tandem with Titans, which is really nice. So what does the Colossus even do? Well, of course, initially you will think, well, it's a planet destroyer, so it destroys planet, but it does so much more. So much more. First of all, obviously, there is the World Cracker, which will, quote-unquote, destroy a planet, potentially leaving behind a asteroid field, which you can mine for its resources. However, that is not always a guarantee. Personally, I don't think that planet cracking is going to be all that practical, because by the time you're going to get it, you're going to have a massive economy anyway. But we'll see. You know, it's not out yet, so we'll see. You know, you always use it as a giant middle finger to pretty much anybody around you. But why would you ever use it on a Gaia planet? I do not know. Then we have the Global Pacifier, which encases the planet inside of a impenetrable shield and generates society points, which you then can use to put a science station around it, and boom, there you have it, a new source of science, which is curious to say the least. As you know, that it basically puts the planet inside of a fishbowl. You can tap it, and that is pretty much it, which is pretty interesting. Not all that practical, I guess, but you know, it's still one of those things that you can play around with. Then we have the Neutron Sweep. Now we're starting to get inside the more practical applications of this. Destroys most higher forms of life on the planet, but leaves all infrastructure in part intact. Most higher forms of life. So I don't know whether or not this applies to mechanical species or any sort of stuff from Synthetic Dawn. So that is definitely something that we need to take a look at, and is only available to empires that are not spiritualist nor pacifistic. So if you are a spiritualist empire or pacifistic, there will be no neutron sweeping for you. However, the spiritualists do have a type of their own, which is the God Ray, as it's so nicely called. Converts all organic pops on the planet to spiritualists and destroys all machine and synthetic pops, as well as massively increasing spiritualist ethics attraction on the planet for a time. Only available to Spiritualist Empire. This is a fascinating one because it basically swaps the entire population from any sort of ethic to spiritualist, which is a rather crazy approach. Then we have my personal favorite, and I'll most likely will be using quite a lot of, is the Nano Bot Dispersal unit, which is only available to Synthetic Dawn users, which automatically assimilates every single pop on the planet, causing it to defect to your empire with its new cyborg population. Apparently it's only available to Derivative Assimilator, which makes perfect sense, and in all honesty, I love this design of the Colossus. It is beautiful. It doesn't have any weapons aside from its main gun, so to speak. Apparently the devs are messing around a little bit, maybe adding some point defense to it, but overall it's a big dumb object that shoots stuff, which is always cool. All the icons you're seeing are placeholders. Apparently, additional types of weapon devastators will be researched as rare technologies after you finish your Colossus project. Once the project is complete, you'll be able to build a Colossus at any starbase with the Colossus assembly yard attached to it. Once built, it's basically a civilian ship, and every empire can only have one Colossus at the same time, but you can rebuild it if it dies. So there is that. It takes time for the Colossus to travel to a planet. It takes time for it to charge up. It takes time for it to use its main weapon, but apparently it is very tanky, so it will take some time to take it down so you can counter it effectively. And after that, obviously, you can move on towards the next planet and nuke them from orbit, so to speak. And I like the images, like, yeah, let's go and kill this Gaia world. That seems like a good idea. And let's just leave some wreckage in its wake. The animations for these are nice. The pictures you're seeing are most likely from the mammalian ship set, which is rather cool as well. Let's move on towards the next class. Titans. I'll let that sink in. Titans are coming to Stellaris as for playable nations, and apparently people have been asking for these for a long time. It's going to be a new type of ship, which is obviously researchable after you've done battleships. They are massive flagships with long-range weaponry, and they are basically layers and layers of shield and armor, which is nice, and has a one single Titanic weapon arrangement at the front, which will basically shoot stuff across the system. So they are apparently basically intended to be flagships, and they are limited in number. However, it depends on how much your fleet cap is to see how much you can build of these. So potentially you could have multiple ones on the field, which is nice. So that is always cool, and its main weapon is apparently called the Perdition Beam, that can fire across the whole system and destroy a battleship in a single shot, which is rather useful, to say the least. And then there's the final one. We saw a picture of this yesterday as well, and it's not really, not nearly as hyped up as some people would say, but I still think it's going to be a very interesting way to beef up static defenses. Now, in the Halo universe, we've got something called Super Mag Cannons, which are basically giant cannons that shoot several hundreds of tons worth of material at a certain percentage of the speed of light towards the enemy's direction. Introducing the Ion Cannon, a super heavy orbital defensive system. Basically what it does is it has, in this particular image, it's got 4,500 base power, so you can have it orbit your station and make it part of your defensive systems. And apparently it can shoot at a very long range, and it's specifically designed to counter battleships and enemy Titans. So there you have it, the first Death Diary for the new Apocalypse expansion. As I said, it's going to be available for $19.99, and that's in euros. So whether or not that's going to be your local equivalent is a whole different question, but we shall see. But still, it's available for pre-order right now. In addition, we also had a live stream going on in parallel. We got a bunch of cool things that are coming. Apparently, we're going to be talking about a new type of pirates, which are called Marauders. Apparently, you'll be able to have 3 of those. There are basically 3 factions that live on space stations in certain systems, and you can basically bribe them to attack other empires. Very interesting, very similar to Leviathan's system of space stations that you can have, like the enclaves and stuff like that. And basically, you can bribe them and say, hey, don't attack me, attack that guy, whatever. However, there is the potential of a quote-unquote Great Khan arriving, uniting the Marauders, and basically becoming, and I quote this directly, a mid-game crisis. Finally, mid-game crises are going to be coming to Stellaris, and I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, there's going to be a whole range of new civics and traits available as well. One of the civics that I have seen is the Gaia Planet Civic, where you start off on a singular size 25 Gaia planet, but you only have the ability to colonize other Gaia planets. So for those people that are playing One Planet Challenge, there you go. And then there is also the new Civic, which basically means that you start on a bombed out Tomb World, which means that you only have access to Tomb Worlds, or at least are more keen to go on Tomb Worlds. Tomb Worlds themselves, I think if you've been playing with Horizon Signal, it gives you an automatic 60% accessibility ratio to all other worlds, so that could potentially be very overpowered, come to think of it. Regardless, this is all speculation. There's a lot more stuff coming out over the next few weeks. This was Death Diary number 100, and like I said, next week we're going to be talking about Marauders, Pirates, and the Great Khan. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.